Today we're looking at a quick comparison between the Sirui Nightwalker Cine Lenses and the Sigma Cine Primes. This is the last week that the Sirui Nightwalkers are going to be in their Indiegogo campaign for early bird pricing. And so I thought it'd be a good idea to make another video about these lenses, giving you kind of the last opportunity to take part in the early bird pricing. But I want to have a little bit more fun with this video. And so I decided, why not compare them to lenses that are 10 times the amount that these lenses are? Legitimately, the Nightwalkers are around 10% of what you would pay for the Sigma Cine Primes. But the question is do you get 10% of the value and performance that you would get if you were to look at the Sigma Cine Primes? And that's what we're going to try to answer today. Now, in comparing the image quality of these two cinema lens sets, we're going to kind of compare them in a couple different categories. The first is going to be overall sharpness and chromatic aberration. Now, it may not be a surprise to you, but the Sigma Cine Primes are a little bit more sharp than the Sirui Nightwalkers, but I'll be honest, I'm kind of surprised on how sharp the Nightwalkers are in comparison to the Sigma Cine Primes. Now, the Nightwalkers are going to be a little bit more soft, or you may have less contrast than you would with the Sigma Cine Primes, but they still do retain a lot of the sharpness, even wide open, and especially as you stop down to T2 or T2.8. But that's sharpness. Where the Sigma Cine Primes really excelled was in chromatic aberration and how they handle chromatic aberration. But honestly, that should not be a surprise. This is a budget, ultra budget cinema lens set, and so that's often something you'll see with these types of lenses, is the presence of chromatic aberration. And so in sharpness and chromatic aberration, I will give the edge to the Sigma Cine Primes. Now, both lens sets were pretty similar on how they flared. I will say I did like the flaring of the 24mm t1.5 Sigma Cine Prime, just because it had a little bit more pronounced orbs, and I'm a huge fan of that. But let's be real, that's really just up to preference. But that being said, I do feel like the flares were pretty consistent between the two sets. And so with that, let's go to the next category, which is going to be focus breathing. And this is honestly where the Siruis actually excel. If you already saw my Sirui lens review, you may remember that I said that these have good focus breathing compensation. You almost see no focus breathing from these lenses, which is impressive with lenses at this price point. The Sigma Cine Primes weren't terrible when it comes to focus breathing, which is actually a surprise to me because I use these lenses all the time and I notice when the focus breathing is there. But honestly, in comparison, it actually isn't that bad when you are looking at the two sets side by side. But the Sirui Nightwalkers definitely controlled focus breathing a lot more than the Sigma Cine Prime. The next thing I want to mention is the minimum focusing distance. And honestly, I didn't even have to do a controlled test for this because I know that the Sigma Cine Primes offer really good minimum focusing distance, or even just like average to above average minimum focusing distance, while the Nightwalkers offer really kind of just terrible minimum focusing distance. And that may be a result of having good focus breathing compensation, that you have that lack of minimum focusing distance performance, but that is something you do want to know going into buying these lenses, is they are going to have pretty terrible minimum focusing distance. Now, when it comes to the image quality of these lenses, I really don't think that the Sirui Nightwalkers are operating on that 10% of what the Sigma Cine Primes offer. And so that raises the question of, why would you spend a lot more on a set of Cine Primes? And that comes down to the last thing I want to mention with the image quality, and that is consistency, but as well as the overall build quality of the lenses. The Sigma Cine Primes color consistency is spot on. You honestly can switch from one lens to another and not even notice, other than maybe compression or just the overall field of view. The colors don't change and they're all relatively consistent, but with the Sirui Nightwalkers, you will have some inconsistencies there. The 24mm is going to be a lot warmer than the other two lenses, and even with the 35 and the 55, I do think that there is a little bit of color difference between the two of those, but absolutely the 24 is going to be a little bit different. And so this is a conversation you start getting into when you are looking at ultra budget cinema lenses versus more expensive cinema lenses, is how consistent is the set. Now, talking about the build of these lenses, lenses, while I do like the construction of the Sirui Nightwalkers, you are gonna immediately see what you pay for with the Sigma Cine Primes. I'm not gonna go into all the details, but in a nutshell, with the Sigma Cine Primes, you are gonna get a more robust body, and on top of that, you get things like illuminated text. My lenses are currently using a PL mount, which gives me the ability to use an adapter with other mirrorless cameras and basically take these lenses and use them on really any camera that I want, especially mirrorless cameras. Whereas the Nightwalkers, they're for micro four thirds, and as soon as I send my GH6 back to Lumix, I'm not gonna be able to use these lenses. And that's something you do have to ask yourself when you're looking at cinema lenses is, am I gonna have to switch these out when I do switch bodies? Something else you wanna consider with lenses like the Sigma Cine Primes is because of the way that they're constructed and because they're being used on actual film sets, you do have the ability to potentially rent them out and compensate for some of the money that you've spent on the lenses. So again, food for thought. But with all that said, would I still recommend the Sirui Nightwalker lenses? And I would say absolutely. I have had an absolute blast shooting with these lenses. They're offering you that T1.2 aperture. They're offering you consistent size filter thread, as well as a really good image with that more organic vibe. If you are somebody that's on a budget, looking for that first cinema lens set, or potentially if you just want a crash cam set, or maybe just a set to play around with, because these aren't breaking the bank and because they're not super expensive, they're really easy to get into. And so if any of those things match the criteria of what you're looking for in a cinema lens, then I would absolutely say you should be checking out the Sirui Nightwalker cinema lenses and go get them on Indiegogo and save some money. And so that's it for me. I hope this was helpful. I hope it was helpful to see the difference between these cinema lenses and just food for thought. And so with that said, if you did find this video helpful, make sure to give it a like. And if you're digging the overall content from the channel, consider subscribing. As always, thank you for joining. Go and find your journey. Go embrace life. Peace.